Daniel here with another Casual Dude review, and I know it's been a while since I made a video, and that's really because I haven't had much to talk about. I haven't received any new pieces, and that's mainly because I told my ADs I'm at the point where, here are a couple things on my list, call me when you get them, and they are the ones that are a little bit more difficult to get. Currently on my list, I do have a Day Date, a Pistachio OP, and of course the stainless steel Daytona. I'm not too in a rush to get any of those, so I'm not really nagging my ADs or anything like that. But they've pulled through on some amazing watches, and today is no exception. So today I'm going to be showing a watch that I didn't ask for, but I have a pretty cool story to talk about how I got to it. But we were on vacation, and I do have an AD at our vacation spot, and just went to go say hi. We have a pretty good relationship. I wasn't really expecting anything, and he said, "You know what? I might have a piece that you might be interested in." And so he showed me the Yacht-Master, and I've been offered many Yacht-Masters over the years. I never really liked them. I felt like they didn't really create a lot of diversity between my subs and my GMTs. Similar style bezel, similar case. And so I said, you know what? I appreciate it, but I'm not interested. And I thought about it a little bit. I left the AD, went back to my hotel later that day, and I said, you know what? That's a really cool piece. And the differential might not be really in the look of the watch, but the material. And so I thought about it, and I talked to a couple of watch friends. I said, are you, do you think I'm crazy for passing this up? And my two big watch collector friends said, yeah, 100% you're crazy. It's an amazing watch. It's titanium. What more can you ask for? Now, I usually won't buy a watch based on value because I don't typically sell my watches unless I've had it for a long time and I've moved on to something else, or I just kind of fell out in love with it. But realistically, I hang on to the watches that I buy. I love looking at my pieces. I love wearing my pieces. And so I don't make decisions based on value. I've turned down many watches that are worth way more than retail. And, for me, as someone who doesn't play that game, I don't buy watches that I don't like. And so when this was, offered to me, I had turned it down because I didn't like the Yacht-Master. I had received an offer a couple days before for a white gold one. Over the years, I've been offered maybe, 3 or 4 different Yacht-Masters in different configurations. But I couldn't get this one off, out of my head. And I had a little bit of FOMO when I kind of walked away from the AD. So I reached back out to, the AD, and I said, is this still possible? And he said, yeah. When are you leaving? And I said, I'll be here for a couple days. And he says, okay, let me get back to you tomorrow. So the next day came, and I said, I had gone to an event, and the event didn't have good cell service. And I said, oh no, what if I missed the call, so to speak, quote unquote. And so I reached out to my wife. I said, can you reach out to him and say, hey, if this becomes available, call me, not him. And that's what happened. And so he called her, said, I have the watch available. She had paid for it. I wasn't due to be back at the hotel till later that night. And so she picked it up for me. And, later that night, I saw it for the first time in person and fell absolutely in love with it. So I have no regrets on this one. I absolutely love it. Now, this is kind of a monumental piece to me, at least, because it is kind of Rolex's step in utilizing a grade 5 titanium for the watch. And so the first thing I noticed when I picked it up is just how light it is. And it's got a nice titanium finish, but the weight is kind of everything. And so I have heavy watches, especially, ones that have gold in it. I have a lot of stainless, but this is just like, it feels like it's not even on. And so, you'll notice the Oyster style bracelet. Everything else is pretty reminiscent of just your typical Yacht-Master, but this thing is, if it had kind of like a titanium bezel or something like that, I honestly probably wouldn't be into it. And that's one of the things I didn't like about the stainless Yacht-Masters and stuff. But the fact that it's got this kind of all blacked out look, it's got a bidirectional bezel, it's got enough to differentiate this from my no date sub. I think the titanium is what really pushed me over the edge. So having this really rugged, lightweight watch that's utilizing Rolex's RLX grade 5 titanium, it sets it apart from the rest of my collection in a way that said, okay, you know what? Let's do this. So this thing retails for about $15,000 US. So it's not crazy, especially when you consider some of the other watchmakers right now, like Omega, are increasing their prices into really uncomfortable territories, in my opinion. I think this one is pretty fairly priced. We haven't seen a post-tariff price increase from Rolex yet. And so if you get a call for something that you really want now, definitely don't pass up on it, because eventually the tariffs or any other price increases are going to catch up to us. And so I'm going to take my sub out a little bit here in a minute. We'll talk a little bit about this watch. I will put it on, but to make a note, I haven't had it sized yet because I got back from vacation earlier this week, and because I wasn't there to pick it up, they didn't size it for me. This is probably going to just be one link off, like most of my Oyster bracelets and my Datejust and everything like that. So we'll go into my local AD and have them resize it for me. But we'll put it on and just see what it looks like. This is a 42 millimeter. And then other than that, it does have a lot of similarities to the sub. Let's put this down and break out the sub so we could do a side by side. But this is absolutely daily wear material. It's light, it's comfortable, it's rugged, it looks good, it goes with everything. And so, yeah, I mean, even picking up my sub right now, you can really feel the weight difference. So let's do a side by side here. And so we have my no date Submariner here on the left side, and you can see it's a little bit bigger, but the Yacht-Master here on the right side. Of course, the Yacht-Master is more for, activities above the water, whereas the sub is a Submariner. It's meant for activities below the water, originally designed as a tool watch for divers. The Yacht-Master is more for yachting and things like that. Now, of course, anybody can wear anything. You don't have to be a diver to wear a Submariner. I don't dive. In fact, I fly planes, so I go the opposite direction. But you can see a lot of the similarities and differences here. I do like kind of the muted shine that the titanium has. And you can see more of the grain in the metals. And you can see that in both of them, but you definitely see it more in the titanium. And so nice little color difference here. It's more of a steel gray as opposed to the stainless steel look. But, it's like I never thought that stainless watch would feel so heavy. And this is coming from someone, again, who has like an all gold day date, which is extremely heavy. And, I've tried on some platinum pieces and other metals that just, kind of feel like a weight on your wrist. I don't wear them often, but this thing just kind of disappears, like you forget it's there. Now, the only other titanium watch that I have is the No Time to Die Seamaster from Omega. I absolutely love that watch. I think it's super unique. It's got the same color tones because it is titanium, but it is a grade 2 titanium, and grade 5 is a little bit stronger and a little bit lighter. And so it's definitely noticeable. This is reminiscent of kind of the Grand Seikos as far as like how light it is, where it almost kind of feels like a toy. Like it doesn't feel like a serious watch. But you know what, for me, that's okay. I have enough of these chunky, hefty watches that titanium is a welcome change. And so I will likely start wearing this, and I can honestly see myself wearing this as a daily. It's it's not very loud. It doesn't garner a lot of attention. It does have a date function, which I really like my Submariner for not having a date function, so that's a nice little change. But this is an absolutely beautiful piece. And so I will put it on my wrist. As I mentioned every video, my wrist is a 7 3/4 inch wrist. And so let's go ahead and buckle that up. One thing I have to say when taking the clasp off is a little bit more tricky. Like, I don't want to say tricky, but it's a little bit more challenging. So there's like this kind of texture that titanium has that I didn't realize until I started wearing it, that really makes it a little bit, I don't know, tougher to open than stainless. It doesn't feel as smooth, but here it is. I want to do a wrist roll, but all right, I guess it's going to stick, but it is definitely loose. So I'll definitely have to take probably one link out of here. And one thing we'll look at too is, I haven't even looked if it has a micro adjustment, so we'll discover that together here. But it's a beautiful piece. And like I said, it's very understated. It doesn't garner a lot of attention. It fits well, it looks well, and it's just so light. I mean, that's really the biggest thing here. That's really what moved the needle here, is having that kind of light daily wear that, just kind of disappears on your wrist. So let's go ahead and take it off. The clasp is a little bit tougher to open. I don't know if that's a titanium thing, a difference in materials, or if it's just particular to this watch, but all right, looks like we do have a micro adjustment here. And so this is going to be not the glide lock, but let's see here. Yeah, we open this up, and then, it gives you a little bit of an extension, and then you can close it up to get that back. And so we'll close that up really quick here. And so this just folds in on itself. This is very much like a GMT. Make sure it's lined up here before I shut it. There we go. And you just pinch that, hear the click, and then you brought yourself down a little bit. So yeah, I absolutely love this piece. Like I said, it doesn't, because of my Submariners and my GMTs, it doesn't add a lot of visual dimension to my collection, but I mean, look at it. It just feels so sophisticated, like a more sporty and refined Submariner. And this is one of my favorite watches. I wear this one more than anything. This one in my Datejust, depending on where I am. But this has been my daily, along with my black Speedmaster. And so I really do see myself wearing this more. Like I said, doesn't garner a lot of attention, very lightweight. It just looks absolutely beautiful. It does have the date function, but if you're going to wear it often or keep it on a winder, then that's not a huge deal. One thing I like about this is that, I can let it wind down and I don't have to set it on a 24-hour configuration. I mean, you're just playing with 12 hours at that point and don't have an extra complication to set. But yeah, would love to know what you think about this piece. I feel very, kind of lucky to be able to kind of stumble upon it. It would have never kind of gotten on my radar as something to add to my list. And so really, really thankful to my AD who offered it to me. Like I said, I've got a decent amount to spend. I bought a couple of sports watches from them. But I also referred a couple of other customers to him, and I think he was really thankful for the business that I've sent over his way. But they're a great AD. I walk in, they've never given me attitude or anything like that. It's been, you hear a lot of horror stories with the AD experience, and I have to say from the beginning, my sales guy at this particular AD has been absolutely amazing, has always been respectful. And, I've kind of I don't like that kind of idea of like, oh, you have to build a relationship with them outside and do all this and play all these games. I've never really played the games, but me and my AD have a lot in common. And I think that's really helped me along the way. And he's a great guy, and I really appreciate him offering me this piece because I know this can be a quick mover. I know they don't make too many of these. I talked to my AD after, who oddly enough offered me another watch that I turned down literally as I landed, but they've never even sold one of these yet. They haven't had one in person. And so yeah, I hope you appreciate this video. I'm sorry it's taken so long. I'm kind of knocking the rust off as well. So I'm sorry for any, misspeaking or if I've repeated anything. I hope you enjoyed this video. I do have more coming up, I promise. But thank you for sticking with me and watching my other videos. And as always, leave a comment. I love responding to them. It's been such a positive experience. Like, people can be pretty toxic on the internet, but the comments are always super respectful. It's just, people who like watches, talking watches and asking questions and recommendations and stuff like that. And so thank you so much for being an amazing audience. I really appreciate it. Keep watching the videos. I'm, not trying to monetize this channel. This is just a hobby I have based on my hobby of collecting watches. I love talking about watches. I love collecting watches. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. And I hope you will continue to watch. So subscribe if you haven't, pardon me. And if you have any recommendations for a video that you'd like to see, you see a lot of my collection in my past videos. If there's anything you want to see, please let me know. I am going to be doing a video soon where I break out the whole collection, and I kind of want your opinion on where I should go from here. Like I said, I have a couple more pieces that are on my list, but I'm not saying yes to everything that gets offered to me anymore. I'm not saying yes to walk-ins if it's not something I don't absolutely love. And so I am going to say, if you were to pare down this collection, where would you start? And what would you do to diversify it a little bit? Because I do have a lot of redundancies. But yeah, I appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this watch. If you have any questions about it, let me know. I'd be happy to do kind of like a second part video where I address any questions you have about it. But realistically, I mean, there's no hidden features here. It's a gorgeous watch, great color. You've got this matte black bezel. You've got a date function. But the biggest thing to me was the titanium. So being able to add a full titanium watch to my collection has been kind of like the biggest thing for me and the reason that I said yes on this. And so, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you like this watch. I hope you like the video. And again, if you have any questions, leave it in the comments, and I try to read them at least once a day and answer as many as I can. So thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.